can't hear nothing. It's Mike. Mic check, 1, 2. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear nothing you saying. I can't hear nothing.
No, he's using the ones here, but they still can't hear each other.
All right, I can't hear nothing this morning, but y'all be bear with me. This is your man, Celebrity Man, Tony Boston.
Yeah, it's on.
What we're gonna talk about this morning is
Yeah, it's on one. You know, it's on one.
what we're gonna talk about this morning is they closing the pool down at Booker T. Washington State Park. They closed the pool down, and I wanted some answers. I want to know why. You can hear me, boy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear nothing, but I can hear you.
Right above,
All right,
the two now.
Booker T. Washington State. All right, Booker T. Washington State Park. They closing the pool down, and I just want to know. It's a lot of stuff going on in the community, man. It's a lot of shootings going on. Do you know how many shootings we don't have in the community?
How many shootings since like the first part of the year?
Yeah, since the first year.
I've heard different stories as far as like, are they is it up? Is it down? No.
So I know it we had a lot of shootings. We had a lot of robbers, break-ins. Of course, I deal with a lot of them guys. I deal with a lot of them. But they closed them. It don't make no sense. They closed. I had a discussion yesterday with a young lady. They closed the pool down at Booker T. Washington State Park. That don't make no sense because why are y'all closing the pool down? And I want to know who making these decisions. Who had the audacity to make the decision? It can't be the county. It can't be the city because it's a state park. So somebody in Nashville is making decisions in my community without advising my community leaders what's going on. And this is very serious, boy, because you got to think about it. Everybody that's on Section 8 are moving towards Highway 58. They don't put an apartment complex up there. People move to Washington, they move to Harrison. If you got a voucher, the more you move out, the more money you get. We got more kids. We got more minority kids going to Central High School now. So what they tell you in the area, Hunter, Ooltewah Road, Harrison Bay, they ain't got nowhere to go swim. And everybody can't afford a swimming pool in their backyard. That's a liability with insurance. Everybody wants a swimming pool in their backyard, but insurance can't. So, boy, as you going into a criminal court judge, you running for judge.
Right.
And as you going into criminal court judge, how do you feel about this situation? I mean, I just want to ask you that first before we get into everything else, because you're going to be dealing with people that you might have to send. I mean, and you can't be biased. You can't be biased. Turn me up a little bit more. You can't be biased. You cannot be biased. You're going to be the judge, so, I mean, that's your job. I got to let you do your job. They wrong, they wrong. They right, they right. You know, if they do a bad crime, because, you know, I got kids out there, I got a family, and somebody do something to my family, I want justice too. But I want it done decent and order.
Totally. It has to be done that way. It's something where, you know, there's an in-court role for the office I'm looking to that I'm seeking. This criminal court judgeship is something where in court you have to make sure both sides are fairly heard. Prosecution needs to get out the facts that they, you know, are part of their case to for someone who's charged, say, a murder. They have to get the facts out and gather them properly. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
All right. I'm talking right into the microphone. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the point is that as criminal court judge, you have to make sure that both sides get a fair hearing. I mean, bad things happen in criminal court. A lot of people leave being, you know, very upset with the system or the result, but you can't. I mean, the least thing, the worst thing is if they leave and they think they didn't get a fair shot. So the prosecution has to have a chance to get everything that's relevant out, but the defense does too. I mean, one of the best things, Tony, I've heard about how the difference in the prosecution and the defense operate. The prosecution's very interested in the truth of what happened on a particular day with a particular time. This person was standing here, this incident happened, this person took off that way. The defense is very interested in knowing what brought the people there. What's the bigger picture? You know, why were these kids in this situation? Why was a person compelled to participate in a certain way? So once all of that gets brought out in court in a fair way, then the jury gets to make a fair decision. And that's what I want to make sure happens. And
by being a criminal court judge, I know a lot of people downstairs, and they bound stuff over that they don't understand properly what they bound over because maybe because the judge in sessions court or the DA in sessions court. You don't work on the DA side too, right?
Yes, I've worked both sides. That's right.
He don't work public defender side. He don't work the DA side. And then he running for judge. So they closed the pool down. Just think about it. They closed the pool down on a normal Saturday afternoon. Like today, the pool should be open. It's Good Friday.
Okay.
They closed the pool down, and just think about it. This morning, people getting ready to go swimming. Kids don't got nowhere to go. They sitting at home. Mama ain't got no car. They call their area no man's land. Mama ain't got no car on Highway 58. What the child gonna do? Can't go to the park.
What I'm talking about now is the out-of-court role that I plan on taking as well. What you're describing, Tony, is a lack of positive options for kids to spend their time. And so kids, all the way up to adolescents, they're going to want to get out and do stuff. They got to have options. And if you take away positive options, then that's only going to leave fewer options for the kids to choose from. Swimming, just like any type of athletics, really, is fantastic, not just for physical health, but for mental health. It's something that keeps folks focused, it gets stress out, and the exact same discipline that it takes to consistently work out, it's the same type of discipline folks need to dig themselves out of poverty, to get through an educational program. And so having, I don't know the circumstances of this pool, but I can speak to how having positive activities for kids to engage in reduces crime. And so I'm all about that.
So you gonna reduce crime. So when you come, everybody look at criminal court judges. Oh, when I go to criminal court, I can get 5 years, 10 years. Basically, on certain cases, they got to do time. You're the judge, but it's all up to you either. It's up to the jury and the DA, right?
Yes, everybody has a role to play. And you can think about it in terms of a football game, where the prosecution is the offense. They have to move the ball. If they don't move the ball, the defense can intercept it. The defense can recover a fumble. But if the prosecution simply doesn't move the ball far enough, the defense wins. If they don't get that 10 yards, right? Well, if the prosecution does not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, then the defense wins. Tie goes to the runner in that regard. So the judge is like the referee in those regards. You just make sure that both sides play by the rules, and sometimes, just like in athletic events, there's one side that is clearly more dominant than the other. When UTC went to play Clemson at Death Valley one time, it was a massacre, and no one expected UTC to win. But it was done in a fair way. And the same thing happens in court. Just because the case is fair doesn't mean that one side is clearly, not clearly right or wrong. And so a lot of times, what the judge does is make sure that the defense, as little proof as they have, they get to say it. And sometimes the prosecution has difficult cases too, and they're not expected to win, but they know stuff a lot of times that the jury doesn't. They know if a person's a repeat offender. They know if a person has done the same thing 3 or 4 times. So even if it's a weak case, I got a lot of respect for prosecutors who at least follow the law to try to take a shot at something that they might not have a legitimate chance at winning unless the jury gets it. But you know what? It's something where at least take a shot at it. And the judge makes sure that both sides do it in a fair way.
So when you come judge, and when is election day?
Election day is May the 3rd. Early voting's going on right now.
Early voting going on right now.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Y'all go out and early vote. When y'all
all day? Well, not all day, but
they can vote today.
Yeah, absolutely. Polls open at 10.
What polls they go vote at?
There are 6 polls open right now across Hamilton County. There's one down on Amnicola. There's one off Highway 58. One in Brainerd. One in Hickson, Soddy, and Ottawa.
Okay, see, Soddy, Ottawa.
Soddy, Ottawa, Hickson, Brainerd, Amnicola, and Highway 58.
And Highway 58. So y'all hear them polls? Y'all can go out and vote right now. Because this judge thing said, we sitting right here playing. I'm up there in the court every day. This stuff is serious, y'all. If y'all don't get the right judge in the right seat, we're going to have this conversation next year. You're like, I should have voted for such. I should have voted here. Listen, y'all go to the polls and vote. And the reason I'm telling y'all this, because y'all bound a lot of stuff over, not knowing that you bound. I don't see people bound on public intoxication. For what? you handle that in sessions court because there's no jail time for public intoxication, is it?
Well, it's a C misdemeanor, so technically you can be given jail time for that up to 30 days. But since public intox, a lot of times it's criminal trespass, the C misdemeanor driving cases, a lot of those are suspended sentences. So typically there is no time. However, a judge can order someone to do time if it's a repeat offense or.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between okay, okay, we're going to say quick. I got a caller coming in. What you think about marijuana? And then keep it real, cause y'all, I ain't gonna say y'all. I guess some people I just say y'all too, cause I work up there. I mean, well, I'm an independent contractor to the courts. But what do you think about marijuana, weed? I mean, just keeping it real. I mean, just
I agree.
because kids now they legalize it in 7 states, 9 states now. Tennessee's about bedtime. People have to come through Tennessee. It just, I mean, just a real answer a real issue we need to deal with. I understand they say we're bound belt, that's been for years, but why is people going to jail for marijuana and they legalize it in the 9 states? I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, I understand you have a whole bunch of it, but some of these people got mental illness where they need marijuana. Some people got sickle cell where they need marijuana. Some people have stomach problems where they need marijuana. This is what the doctor telling me now.
Cancer.
The council, yeah, because I went to a seminar about this. So they said they're gonna let all the people die in Chattanooga. I mean, Tennessee. We're gonna let everybody in Tennessee die because we're not gonna legalize marijuana because, but it's needed for them people that's sick. I'm telling you, some people need it because they got a mental illness. When they high, they cough. I'm not gonna keep real, but by you being a judge, somebody come in front of you. I don't know the terminology of marijuana. I don't gauge it. So I don't know the terminology of how the ounces are pound, but I just know it's a lot of it. When they come in front of you, they ain't got no guns. They just got marijuana. They got a good job. They're outstanding citizens. They make money in the community. What would you do? I mean, would that be your position to correct the jury or the DA, or can you interfere with what they trying to get in? Because that's going to be a lot of, when you come judge, if the Lord willing, when they put you in that seat, it's going to come. You're going to be hit with a lot of weed cases.
Yeah, you asked a big question. Here's what I got to start by saying. Anybody running for judicial office cannot make any promises about what they'll do.
Okay.
Because that's kind of saying what you'll do in the future without listening to the facts of the case.
Okay.
So I can tell you this, though. The law provides for violent repeat offenders to get locked up.
Okay.
So if a person is not violent, it's not a repeat offense, the law provides for them to get probation. Okay, so I would look at the facts individually for sure. But if it's someone that's not violent, it's not a repeat offense, and it's something where the person is sincere about making their life better, they'll probably get probation.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a caller. Just call in. Caller, go ahead. We got a caller. Can the caller hear me? Go ahead, turn me up. I can't hear you. Hey, caller calling in. Thank you for calling in WPTP Radio. Who's on the telephone?
Napoleon.
So I saw him a few days ago, and I just want you to know that I'm on both places because you did support law enforcement during those early years when you got in that DA's office.
So, by you being the first black detective, we got to give your hats on that. And that's something to say. Don't you know the man still living?
I saw Napoleon. I was so happy to see him when I saw him recently.
You're the first black detective still living in church. And when you come in office, if you get off, I want you to honor this man because he's the first black detective and still living.
When I was running the gang task force for the city, what a lot of folks expected was to emphasize the prosecution of repeat offender gang leaders.
Right.
What they didn't expect, what they got anyway, was a lot of the stuff that Napoleon and I worked on. And that is stuff like that's trying to reach the kids before they make terrible decisions. That's like when kids make decisions but haven't wrecked their lives yet, we try to give them positive options to turn their lives around.
So what happened? So what happened to you in Napoleon? Talk to me now. What happened to it?
With Tony, I can remember some cases that we had that we went to him and said, hey, this family needs a second break, a second chance. And he never turned us down. He went for the judge and told him, those gentlemen out here in this community, they know the families and friends in the community and families, and he supported us on that. See, everybody in the law don't need to go to jail. Sometimes you can have a second chance, and it works for this community. Don't never forget that. Everybody don't need to go to jail.
Oh, it's
Especially when they come out of a Christian home.
well,
Just needed somebody to talk to them. And I have took ministers and people in the church to get hold to them and turn them around.
it's right, Napoleon. It's something where, again, the folks in the community know what's going on, and you can reduce crime by
That's right.
even if someone is clearly guilty of something small, like you're talking about possession of marijuana.
Yeah, possession of marijuana.
One of my favorite
Right.
stories was told to me by an ex-housing authority police officer. He was training this younger guy, and they're walking around, and this 19-year-old kid was twisting up a joint on the front steps. And so the younger officer wanted to go bust the guy. And my friend, the older guy, said no, and he just yelled at the guy and said, look, you can't do that out there, and sent him inside. And so the younger officer was like, we could have busted him for that. It's like, no. It's much more important to build positive relationships. This guy's not out there selling. He's not like making it cool to these kids to use drugs. It's his decision. 1 week later, there was a shooting in that same complex.
See that?
And what happened was at that time, my friend, whose street name was Cowboy, was there working the scene. And that kid who was on the front porch twisting up that joint came up to him and said, "What's up, Cowboy?" And I slapped his hand, passed him a note. He said, "The shooter is wearing a striped shirt, and he's at the scene." And so my friend went there, and they found it, and they solved the homicide that day because they took the time to build relationships with the community. And so when Napoleon was coming to me saying, "This is a kid who is worth investing," I listened to that. And every prosecutor who truly cares about reducing crime long term would also listen to that.
Yeah, I see Joe Jenkins on it. Joe Jenkins, you need to call into the radio station. Joe Jenkins, call in. We want to hear from you. You got a program that's going on that I see that the county jail. I can't see, a lot of stuff I can't talk about because I'm a bail bondsman, but I know a lot of stuff that's going on. And just like you're in the defense, so something you just got but I know it's there. But Joe Jenkins started the program, and I see it working through the county. I'm like, wow. But Joe started it. I mean, that's all. I'm just saying. But anyway, so they closed Napoleon. They closed this pool down. The reason I'm real big on the judge about them close this pool down because they got crime that's happening. Booker T. Washington State Park. Whoever made that decision. No, but our inner city people are moving there because of Section 8 are moving them that way, so they can't go to Warner Park no more, so they don't have nowhere to swim up there. We got kids that's from Avondale, East Chattanooga, that live on Highway 58. Ask me how I know how. Because guess what? My little boy live up there with his mama. And he got a group of little boys that hang with him. So that's why I can talk about it. I love my son to death. I love him dearly.
Well, Tony, I understand that, but you don't remember the days when we couldn't go to Booker T lessons on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
That was the county back in our day.
That was the county.
Booker T West was in the county. We went to Lincoln Park.
It ain't no more Lincoln Park.
Ain't no more Lincoln Park. But them kids got to go swimming. They don't want to go to Warner Park. I remember time we couldn't go to Warner Park. Back in my days, once a year. That's fair.
God. So what we going to do about this crime? I mean, crime is getting...
I want to get with it. When he gets to be elected judge, I like to sit down and put a task force together. Get these guns off the street.
I heard y'all...
In 1972, when Jack Lupton called me to his office, the richest man in this town, said, can't y'all stop these shootings? You know what I did? I went to the chief. Chief said, you take it to the mayor. Mayor come back and told us, let's go with it. You know what we did? We put his city on a curfew. In 3 days, we got Frank, Ralph, Frenimo. We put his city in a pro district, we got all the guns off the street. We stopped the shootings in 3 days. Now, I'm not bragging.
I know you're not bragging. I wish the board you get with them and Joe Jenkins and that's not my lane. Original Washington, Joe Jenkins, and it's a couple guys in the community I know that can stop this stuff. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm from the street.
But listen, Tony, the problem we got now, that chief just retired, Roddy, had all them white boys down in Georgia and Alabama. They come to Chattanooga, got a job, don't know where to turn the guns off is at. They don't know where. They don't even know what one park is.
Right.
They don't know nobody. They scared of black people. Look what happened up in Michigan. That man had his tag was out. All you gotta do is get the car, get the registration off of it, and send him a citation. Shot the man in the head. Those white boys are scared of black people. And I'm not afraid of scared. Look around the country. You ain't never seen a white police shoot a white man. Nobody but black people. And I hate to say it, and I'm not prejudiced, but you got to call a spade a spade. You got to do something about it. Appreciate y'all, please. Don't forget, keep hope alive.
All right, doing that way. We here.
Good hearing from you, Boyd.
Joe Jenkins said, "Hey, boy,
Hey, what's up, Joe?
what you think about his book?"
Oh, the Joe Jenkins book. Is this,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the guy who was one of the quote unquote worst of the worst?
Worst word. That's what I'm saying. You need to get him in position because he was worse than when I was growing up, and I didn't know he was gonna come on anymore. But when I was growing up in the city, cause my mom, we grew up on Newark Street. I was a bad little boy that grew up on Newark Street. You hear me?
Yeah.
Newark Street. You don't know where it's at.
Newell Street. Yeah, I know where it's at.
You know where it's at?
Yeah, it's down. It's inner city, man.
In the city. I grew up on Newark Street. My mom, we lived in duplex, and I met a guy named Joe Jenkins, City Code Joe. That's what I call him. In the neighborhood, that's what we looked up to. He was the man, and he helped us out. You know, we played ball at the center. I mean, he looked like my age now though, but him and his brother Warren, I grew up under them, and go to Joe for anything. Joe was the man, and Joe had changed his life around. And I know if I see this man turn his life around, and choice he made, he can get in the community and change somebody else around. They can change somebody else around.
That's exactly how it works. Matter of fact, the good conversation when I got here early today, the good conversation we had, that I suppose we were meant to have, was about this very thing. We were sitting around brainstorming about how to reach these kids, and Joe Jenkins' story can do more than tens of thousands of dollars. I'm telling you, if Joe Jenkins' story was able to be, replicated, or at least, he's a role model for these kids struggling with the same things that he struggled with. And it's not just someone telling them that you can be successful. Joe Jenkins, he's showing them that he's felt the same. He's felt the same pressures.
I know City Code Joe. So you know Joe Jenkins.
That's right.
I know City Code Joe.
Okay.
But he corrected me 1,000 times. I'm Joe Jenkins. I said, okay, that's good. And I like to see that change because, man, he come from the inner city for real. So what we're gonna do? You get judged. We bring Joe in. We're gonna start a new task force. Let him put his team together. It's gotta work, man.
See, here's the thing. With my particular role, what I'm running for, there's this in-court role, which I described earlier. It's being the referee, making sure everything's fair, both the prosecution and the defense don't, stay within the rules of the game. The out-of-court role is what we're talking about now, and that's something where, like when I was asked to run the gang task force, they expected a lot of the prosecution stuff. They didn't expect a lot of the outreach. If I'm fortunate enough to get this role, Tony, this new job, and there's going to be an out-of-court component where the three main things that I'm going to hit are literacy, teen pregnancy, and mentoring. I think those three things, if you get the Napoleon's task force together, if you support folks like Joe Jenkins to go into the high schools and have the kids listen to him, then that's what's going to be, making the biggest change right there as far as reducing crime.
But then, we got to do all that. But they got to get paid too. Come on, boy, I'm just keeping it real.
Well,
how we going to bless them? Because I don't want nobody to do nothing for free. Because the more we take care of our people, the more they're going to take care of. I'm saying they got bills to pay too.
Yeah, well, I would support the city, definitely investing in it. But as far as a judicial thing, like my particular role, again, my role is to make sure what goes on in court happens fairly.
Right.
Like out of court thing is something I would be doing for free. It's something that's not my job description because I care about reducing crime. So there's going to be some donation across the board from some folks. As far as like paying them for it, that's the city mayor's gig.
Well, I mean, no disrespect to the city, but we don't try everything in the city of Chattanooga. Guns still going up, violence still going up. I got to do a curveball. I can't do it by myself. And everybody talking about this, and that. I'm seeing people in position right now who can't even stop crime because they don't know the community. They don't come into my community. Stop having protests on the outer side of the city and come into East Chattanooga, Glass Street, where the crime is really happening at. Okay? Come to West 38th Street, Alton Park. Come where it is really happening. The kids want to see you. Every time we get on the news, we also have Yellowton. We're on the outskirts. Ain't nothing happening out there in East Brainerd. Ain't nothing really happening out there at the mall. It's stuff happening out there. I done been places where they want to stop the violence. They're at River Park. Want to stop the violence. Doing to stop the violence rally at River Park. Let's go to the heart of it. It's like an apple. Apple got a seed in the middle of it. And then if you take that seed out the apple and put it in some dirt, it's going to grow. So how you think you're going to stop this crime? You got to go to the core. If you hit the core like a pimp in your face, when you bust your pimple, you got to go to the core to get the pimple away. I'm just telling you. So when you bust that white stuff come out of it. So that's how you got to stop crime in the community. We got to quit playing. I mean, I don't know what else to do. Now I'm getting older, so, and I want this stuff to stop, man. Like the bad rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Can we stop the shootings? Can we stop the crime for 40 days? And I was in the west side the other day. I'm telling you the true story, and you're the judge, you can hear this. I was in the west side the other day. This same police officer, these gangbangers called my phone and said, Tony, we tired of this police officer. They weren't doing it. I wrote out that person and myself. Guess what they were doing? They were shooting basketball in some dirt. I don't know why ain't no real about that. They made them a little real. They ain't bothered nobody. The street camera, they wasn't bothered nobody. I watched them. Then I called them on the phone. I said, I'll take care of that. And I called public affairs, whatever. But the police officers stop worrying about the people and do their job. They're here to serve and protect. There ain't no shooting happening. Ain't no gambling going, okay, everybody gonna shoot dice every night. Come on now. What you think of speaking in the black neighborhood? We party. We get outside, we barbecue. We sit on the front porch. Kids run down the street. We got dogs everywhere. I mean, that's what we do. Okay. So stop arresting my people. And I'm a bail bumper. Stop arresting them for unnecessary stuff. Then they get to you in court. Everybody looking crazy. The police officers don't show up. The dash cam didn't work. Wasting your time as a judge. Because you got bigger cases to worry about.
See, here's the thing that we talk about wasting time. For me, that's not a waste of time because it's something where, okay, prosecution, lay out your case.
Right.
If the case isn't there, if the evidence isn't there, then it's a pretty simple thing. All right, the case isn't going to go anywhere. But you have to give them the opportunity to try. And if they fail, that's fine. If it's something where, the same thing with the defense. I mean, prosecution can come up with all kinds of evidence, but the defense has to be given time to make their case as well. And at the end of the day, just like a referee, make sure the game is fair on both sides. That's what I want to do. And that's what a judge should do. You can't get in the middle of it and say this law is wrong because that's the legislature's job. If the law's out there, it's just the judge's job to say this is the law, these are the facts that support the elements of the crime inside the law. Is it there or not? If it's there, okay.
So let me ask you a question. So if somebody's not happy with what you got going on in the criminal court division, there's 3 judges up there. What's so different about each courtroom?
So they're all divided up, but everyone has the same jurisdiction. Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3 all hear county-wide cases. The crimes that happen on the first 10 days of the month generally get sent to Division 1. Crimes on the second 10 days generally get sent to Division 2. Crime on the last 10 days of the month generally gets in. So it's completely arbitrary, and if for whatever reason one court gets overloaded, there are ways to kind of balance that out. There's some times when a person may be on probation in another court, so they may initially be tracked for one division, like, okay, this judge has already dealt with this person, so they'll move it to that case. So there's a lot of moving around too, but generally that's how it gets.
So if somebody come up and say, I don't want to use you Boyd Patterson, I don't want you to be my judge. Can they switch judges or?
There's got to be reasons for that. Legally, that's called a recusal. You're asking the judge to recuse themselves. And say, for example, as a prosecutor, I prosecuted someone directly. Then they may say, you know what, this judge prosecuted me. I'd rather get someone who didn't, and that would be fine. It may be someone where there's a defendant, where the prosecution may say, we need the judge to recuse on this because he represented this person or a witness personally. And so again, the goal is to make sure that everything's fair. I mean, Tom, you've been doing this for decades.
21 years.
I mean, so it's something where a lot of times things happen in court where people aren't happy with what happens. Which that's why it's imperative that at the very, very least, no one can say they weren't given a fair shot. They can say the witness didn't say what they were supposed to. They can say the police officer lost evidence. They can say the dash cam went away or the dash cam isn't fair. But whatever reason, the dash cam doesn't cover everything. But to make sure that both sides have an opportunity to present their case as fair as possible, that at the very least people may be unhappy, but it won't be because they thought the system is broken. And that's what I want to bring to it.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So I heard about this body cam thing. As a judge, they said if somebody trying to get a bill or something, after 30 days, they're going to erase the body cam. I heard some.
I haven't heard that.
Where's something coming off the body cams?
Well, I can tell you this, what the law is that if there's evidence that's out there and the person who loses it is at fault, meaning like the police officers lose it or the state loses it, then there's an inference that they can assume that would have been good for the defendant. What that means is that, okay, there may be body cam out there, there may be dash cam out there, there may be a video out there, just a store video. And if the prosecution or the police have it, and that video disappears, what can happen, the defense can say, not only can they not use it, obviously because it's gone, but we can have the jury told that the prosecution had this, and they lost it. And so therefore, you can presume that might have been good for the defendant. And so it's not, so there are ways to make that fair too. You just have to make sure that both sides know the law. And that's really one of the best things for a just result in court, when both the prosecution and the defense and the judge simply know the law. It's hard for them to stray outside the rules, So yeah.
So as being a judge, I mean, how many years is that in there? 8 years?
Yes.
8 years? You're gonna be there 8 years, man.
Hopefully long. I mean, that's the first term.
Okay.
I'm 52, but I'm not. The way medicine's going, we're all going to live to be 100, whether you want to or not. So there's going to be a long time that I'm able to serve if I'm fortunate enough to be elected.
Wow. So they're just so crazy. What you doing on my show, dog? What you got? I don't want to know that.
Don't say my name, honey.
Yeah.
That bill died
They,
in the sheriff committee last.
So if you you got a big role. People don't understand how big this criminal court judge thing is. I mean, I'm there, and so if y'all out there listening, man, make sure y'all go to some polls. You got 6, 7 polls open.
Yeah, there's 6 open. I can tell you, if you want to learn more about my candidacy, you can go to boydpatterson.com and read more about my background. I can tell you this, the very first job I had in the criminal justice system, I got my undergraduate master's degrees in psychology and counseled delinquent youth. So I was a delinquent youth counselor for 2 years, and I saw firsthand all these kids coming in, and crime is what they're accused of, but the thing that brought them to that was poverty. And so I saw with my own eyes the intimate relation between poverty and causing people to feel desperate. And again, part of the amazing conversation we were having earlier before the show started was about how when people are in this fight-flight mode mentality, then they're just worried about if they're going to eat that night, if they're going to make their electric bill. It's hard for them to think towards the future. And so, as a counselor, one of the things we tried to do, and did successfully, fortunately some of the time anyway, was get some of the kids to think beyond their circumstances. Yeah, it's a kill or be killed situation sometimes in some parts of where people grow up. And a smart person would figure out a way not to get caught up in that. An amazing, educated, enlightened person would figure out a way to transcend their circumstances. What do I do to get, not just to survive today, but how do I get myself educated? How do I get myself connected with positive folks that can get me out of the situation? And that's what we tried to do when I was a counselor.
But I seen you. I've been here doing this 21 years, and I guess 21 years I've been seeing you walk past the jail. You walk past the jail every day.
That's right.
And why do you walk past the jail? For some reason, you walk past the jail. You go up the hill. You could have went the other way, but I guess you want to see the people in the jail. And you've been a public defender, and I see you help a lot of my people out of my community. Trust me, I don't see you work hard day and night. And I'm like, why is this guy helping my people? You was a public. That's when they couldn't afford no lawyer, and they hired you to appoint them. And I seen you with my own eyes. And then in the afternoon, you come down and chill at the jail with us with the bondsmen. I'm like, why is this man out here chilling with us? Then you move to the DA office. I'm like, man, what this man got going on? Then I found out you work with Donut. You work with other people in the community that know you, but you're just so cool. Do you got a car?
A car?
Yeah. Do you got a car? 'Cause I always see you walking downtown.
Well, the reason I'm walking is because I park a little ways away from the courthouse. So I'll park in a lot and then walk.
Yeah, but you ain't scared of nothing.
Well, I mean, some things where you got to be aware for sure. But you know, if you're at peace with your life, you're at peace with God, and you don't know when you're. And this is something else too that you've seen just as much as I. You know when your time is. So you just, as long as you're right and you're inside and with the bigger picture and you're spiritually online, just go with what happens, do what you can, what you've been blessed with, and no matter what happens, as long as you give it a shot, it's worthwhile. It's meaningful.
Yeah, you're so cool though. I mean, and when you walk around with a cool. I mean, you speak to everybody, but this is a big job, and I want you to take it in part. And when you take this job, and that's another thing. We here at WPTP, we nonprofit, and we got nonprofit. We got a big school here. We got classrooms. If there's nobody can partner with you, instead of sending people to jail, mental health people, and some people, like I said, everybody knows to go to jail.
Right.
I know that's how I make my money, but I also got a heart for people because I'm from an inner city community where everybody's getting arrested. We need to put the people in position and let them come to my program. We got a program I hope we get, and we're going to come to your courtroom and say, instead of sending them in jail for 30 days, we're going to say, we'll send them to WPTP rehab center or something like that, stuff like that.
What we were talking about, and I love talking about this, Tony. It's something where you talk about your people. We're all people, man.
Yeah, I know.
People, my people, they're all people, and so you can't work in a place where people are struggling, any person is struggling for a long time, and not feel compassionate and want to help them. And you realize too, you're flawed. I'm flawed. But it's one of those things where you get a lot out of helping someone else out of their problem.
Right.
So when you're talking about starting a program to help that, that's how this is going to turn around. There's no way a single law is going to be passed that's going to solve this like that. It's going to come from the streets. It's come from people who have seen and felt and witnessed with their own eyes the problem. And sitting around like we did earlier today, just brainstorming. What are we talking about here? We use the metaphor of peppermints in a jar. How do you get people that are in this enclosed situation just to see the bigger picture? So my wife actually worked for the Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy for a while, and she was blown away. And of course, I'd seen it, but to hear her see it for the first time, she's like, we went on a road trip to a place in North Chattanooga. Over half the girls that were on the west side at the Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy hadn't been across the bridge. One girl asked my wife, "Are we going to an island?" And so they didn't know that the Tennessee River was just a few blocks away.
Yeah, you're right.
So what we were talking about earlier, guys, something where simply exposing folks to what's going on, that starts things moving in your mind. That starts the wheels turning. Like, life isn't just inside this jar. And it gets you curious about what could be next for you. And if you have positive people saying, yes, there's more stuff out there and it's good, then that gets people excited about, in a positive way about their future to a degree where they're not falling prey to the bad examples. They're not getting hit with these tripwires and screwing up their lives way too early.
Yeah. So next question I have to ask you, are you going to be a mean judge, a nice judge? No, Judge Poole right now. I'm just keeping it real. Judge Poole is nice.
Okay.
He's fair. He mean well. You taking his seat. I don't want you to have to go in Judge Poole's seat and be different way. Judge Poole, he laugh and joke, but at the same time, he mean business. But it's the way he do it. He don't do it in a way that you're going to hate him.
Well, I'll tell you this.
He does it in a Christian way, like he'll chastise you, but he do it in a mannerable way.
So practicing law for over 20 years has given me the benefit of a lot of bad examples. And so there are some things that I know I'll never do. One of the things that as a prosecutor you see, as a defense attorney you really feel. It's like when a judge is short with you or impatient. As a prosecutor, it's no fun. As a defense attorney, I mean,
Now,
it took
the
me-
prosecutor's the DA office, right?
That's right, yeah.
So you work for Neil Pinkerton right now.
No, I'm with the public defense.
Oh, you on the other side now, but you work with DA side.
Yeah, Bill Cox hired me back in 2002.
Okay.
I was a prosecutor for 15 years, and then I'm at the public defender's office now.
You over there with Ken Smith.
Steve Smith.
Steve Smith. I know they.
That's right, yeah.
I get their names. So you on the other side helping people out who can't afford lawyers.
That's right. We represent people who can't afford a defense attorney.
So you want to tell another big step? Okay.
But it's something where, again, I've seen it as a delinquent youth counselor. I've seen it as a prosecutor, as a gang task force coordinator, as a defense attorney, and seen it as a judge too. I mean, all that experience, seeing the system and the community from all these different angles, that's going to the bench, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected.
So you got all that experience. And why you so laid back? You know, I don't see you radical like everybody else. You just laid back, Judge. I mean, you just a laid back person. You got all this experience. You went down there, started the gang task force, and it worked, but it stopped.
Well,
It worked. Like I said, y'all program was working.
It was, but it's something too where the unique part about it was the combination of the factors. We built that, Tony, from looking at what worked in other cities and seeing what could possibly work in Chattanooga. There was an outreach program that dealt with getting what we called violence, like intervention specialists. Like whenever a shooting happened in Chicago, what they did was they treated it like a contagious disease. They looked at violence almost like a medical problem. They said, what happens when one part of the body gets inflamed? Well, the body sends these other types of antibodies to go to calm it down. So they thought, let's try that with violence. Whenever there was a shooting that happened, they took people who the community trusted and built trust with, said, look, we know what's going to happen. When gang shootings happen, it's always this neighborhood gets shot up. You can almost set your watch by when the other neighborhood gets shot up, and it's back and forth. We see that in Chattanooga. What happened in Chicago was they came up with the idea, before that back and forth starts, let's send some folks to that one place that's going to react probably, and just try to say, look, be smart about this. We know you're mad, but you're only going to hurt yourself, and it's not going to do anything to help the person who's been shot. And so the point is that we took things from our gang task force. We didn't invent them. We just looked across the nation and some places across the world and found different concepts that we thought would be helpful at Chattanooga. And that's why at the time we were up and running before we got shut down, we had about 40 different initiatives going on.
Who shut y'all down? Who had the power to shut y'all down?
There was a new mayor that came in. A new mayor came in. Once the new mayor was sworn in, the gang task force was shut down.
Boy, there's politics, something else. You know that they got so many favors.
Well,
so many favors.
Well, here's the thing. You know, Tony, if I'm, from working with each other in the past, if I'm somewhere in the intersection of law and crime and psychology, I feel fulfilled. You know, it's something that's meaningful to me. If I'm a defense attorney, a prosecutor, gang task force coordinator, a counselor, some different angle of looking at the same problem, that's what fulfills me. So yeah, it was disappointing that it got shut down, but just next day I just went back to the DA's office and what can we do now? So that's how it took off.
And there's one question I gotta ask you right here that you can't answer. I'm not gonna put you on the red spot, but I work in the system. I'm a bail bondsman. When they miss your court, you send a warrant out. Well, I already have a warrant in my hand, and y'all want us to go pick them up. But why is it when I go out and do my job, like I'm asked to do, my job to go arrest them, put them in jail, because they're on my bond, I get grief from the Chattanooga Police Department. I'm just saying. And I have more rights. What people don't know, I don't mean about, I ain't gonna say that, we as bail bondsmen have more rights than the inner city police officer for arrest power when it comes to a warrant of a fugitive that missed bond. Did you know that?
I knew that there were different rules for sure, and I knew that the police as a governmental agency, there's certain search and seizure provisions they have to go through, and I know that bondsmen play by different rules.
And we play by real different rules. So let me do my job. That's what I'll be upset about in court. And I be looking at everybody in the court like, really? So what we can do is, I already have a warrant. When you sign my bond, I don't have to go to the judge and get a warrant. I already have a warrant. Okay? If I see that person in that house, or I expect that person, if I see that person visually in that house, and I don't have, and that's not the address, I can still go in because I've visually seen that person. But now if I got the address on that paper, I still can go in. I don't care what the person in the house say.
Well, police officers, what you're talking about specifically on that is police officers will get a warrant for a certain house and they'll have an affidavit that lays out the facts. However, if on the way to serve that, say that the person has a warrant, an active warrant, and they could be on the way to this one address, and if they see someone else who's clearly breaking the law or clearly has a warrant, they can still, take steps to apprehend that person. But they just got to be careful about it.
Yeah, they got to be careful. I'm saying, if they understand when you come judge, if that's your desire, the Lord bless you, in that seat, you need to get the police chief together, the sheriff together, and the bondsmen together. Because we all got to work together. Right now, I don't think we all working together because when we go out and do our job, we can help them as well as they can help us.
I'll say this, once if I get that position, I'll be able to look at it a lot more closely. But I'll tell you the same thing's going to happen in that situation as would in court. What are the rules? Let's make sure everyone has a fair shot. If the bondsman's in the right, he's in the right.
Yeah, most times we be in the right because, but think about it, what we are frustrated about, and I'm saying me and my team, is that when we go out and do our job, we harass. The sheriff department don't harass us. The sheriff department been very, very nice to us, and I can say that. And but whenever time I go out, I have Chattanooga police officers who just really basically, and they don't know the rules. I'm trying to tell them the rules, but then I tell them, I call dispatch like I'm supposed to, 698-2525, let them know where I'm at. I'm at the point now. I say don't need to send no officer out. I'm good. I just let you know where I'm at. I'm good.
Okay.
Because really, they can't help us. I don't want their help, but I have to let them know, identify where I'm at. But I'm at the point now, I'm good. I don't need them. So, that's where I'm at now. But then, I'm just saying, here go the judges. If I don't have the person within 180 days, they want to charge me 100%. They want to charge me 100% on the bond. If the bond $10,000, person missed court, y'all want me to pay $10,000. But the law say up to 10%. So that's another interest conflict. So you're going to be dealing with this if you come judge because you deal with the bondsman. Because you in criminal court now, and you have to be dealing with the bond every second Tuesday each month. So how is you going to hold me responsible for $10,000, but when the law say up to 10%?
It'll be something where we just look at it the way I understand it, and I haven't sat in on a complete bond meeting, but I do understand what the point is, that people who aren't showing up, the bondsman doesn't have them in court, they give some more time. Here's the point. If the spirit of the law is to get someone to show up, and the bondsman needs more time, and it seems there's a reasonable possibility that you can get them there, then okay, go get them, give them some time. You don't have to be, you can be flexible in some ways for sure. If it's something where the person isn't showing up, you gotta understand that the law is there, and how you exercise it, how you enforce it, what's the spirit of it, So
you got a big job, man. I'm just saying, there's a lot of questions, a lot of answers. I got people in here. People that know you can go vote, they're going to vote for you. But I hope and pray when you get in that seat, if the Lord's willing, you can do something about this crime. Maybe they need you to bring it in because you already know. See, that's the thing about you already know how to deal with this. They shut your program down. You done been a public defender side, you done been a DA side, you done worked in the community, your wife working in schools. You know the inner city. I feel comfortable with you already, but we'll get other two women a chance, everybody first chance. But what the Lord decides to do in this seat, whoever gets this seat, I just want the man to be right for my community. When I say my community, because I grew up in the inner city community, and by the time we've been abused, we've been taught wrong. You might not believe it, boy, I'm telling you, you grew up like we grew up, man, it's time for a change. And I hear about that, and oh, it has changed, boy. I'm telling you, man.
Can I share something with your listeners right now?
What?
I want to
tell them. Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell them.
So everybody out there who is disappointed with the things in the community going on, I can tell you, there's a way through that you can actually be part of the solution. And here's what it is. You can look at specifically what you don't like most about the community. You you can look specifically on how it has affected you. A lot of people talk about do what you love. Yeah, you should do what you love. But if you're looking for meaning still, a meaningful direction that can help the community, you can get a lot of direction from pain. The pain that you have felt from what you're seeing going on is something that can give you meaning. We're talking about, earlier we were talking about people who just don't understand what's going on. They want to stay in the basement. They don't want to improve their life very much. If you have a meaningful direction, that by itself will help you transcend your circumstances. And when you look at, for example, a brother of yours who got shot, when you look at an uncle who drank himself to death, when you look at a neighbor, best friend, who had some unfair circumstance happen to him, you got a choice right now. You can be mad at it and be bitter at it. I'm telling you, when you take the negative things that happen to you or someone you love, and you just try to work as hard as you can to make sure someone else doesn't fall victim to that, not only do you have meaning, not only does your friend's death, your relatives' unfortunate circumstances suddenly have meaning, you change the community. So I'm telling every listener out there, you look at what you don't like about your circumstances, about what happened to you, about how life wasn't fair to you, and you go find someone else, and you do your best to make sure they don't have it as bad as you have it, and you're going to see inside you're going to feel meaningful, and outside you're going to make a huge difference in the community.
Wow, y'all, that's a verse from Mr. Boyd Patterson, running for criminal court judge. If y'all don't know what that is, y'all need to get to know, because half of y'all ended up in criminal court judges. Man, it was amazing. If you want to know the truth, we talked about Mr. Boyd. He's in the office. Make sure y'all go vote. He's on a ballot. Make sure you're a Democrat. You go to get a Republican ballot, right? Get a Republican ballot. A Democrat can't get a Republican ballot, right?
Yes.
There's certain laws about that, but I know that it's going to have to come from a Republican ballot for sure. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So y'all get a Republican. Yesterday they get on a vote. They won't worry about Easter Day. It's Easter egg hunt. What you need to do today is Warner Park got an Easter egg hunt over at 1:30. Then First Presbyterian Church behind Dalewood, Linda's Craft, under a girl named Andrea Clark. Her mama passed away years ago, and she renamed the Easter egg hunt after mom. And they got like 6,000 to 10,000 eggs out there. They give away bites of food at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock today. So go around Northmore Road. I want to see you there. You say you want to reach the community. You got everybody in one spot.
I know. So here's the thing. I got this election scheduled.
Oh, so
I'm going out door knocking.
Door knocking, but listen, that's the old school door knocking. So you're going back to the old school.
We're hitting it from every angle, man. We're fundraising. We're going out to community events, and today the folks I'm supposed to door knock with.
Okay, y'all let you go. I ain't been over you. But then I did see though. I can't say. I mean, that's public record. It's in Chattanooga.com. They said you're in the lead by a lot, and you got big endorsements. I'm surprised you got big endorsements from people. I see that already, and you don't raise more money than everybody. I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, a quiet man don't make some noise.
Well, here's the thing, that there were so many people running for election this particular time. A lot of the usual funding sources, with the Politico folks who typically donate,
Right.
they pretty much spread out. And so fortunately, again, just having relationships over 20 years, people from church knew me, people I went to law school with, people I went to that's interesting too. People I went to elementary school with have reached out to me, and we talked about hanging out in 4th grade, and they supported me. So fortunately, if you're from this area, just being around, if you're interested in the community, you're going to develop relationships.
You from Chattanooga?
Pretty well. I moved here when I was 4.
Oh, okay. You moved with, so you're here, y'all.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, man, this is man, Celebrity Hypeman, Tony Boston, here every Saturday. Catch me from 12 to 1 right here, 12 to 1 right here on WPTP. If y'all want to know the truth, we talk about that pool being closed. I want some ounces about that pool getting closed down at Booker T. Washington State Park. Our kids don't have nowhere to go. And I'm telling you, if I have to rent the water park out, I'm gonna pay out of my pocket with WPTP. We're gonna make sure every child in the city of Chattanooga get a chance to swim this year. So be on the lookout. We're gonna make that. I'm gonna get with the city. The city should give a free day instead of charging everybody 50 cents to $1 to go swimming, because they closed on Booker T. Washington. So the city should take a loss. They take losses on everything else. So we're gonna get with the mayor. Our good friend, the mayor, Tim Kelly, is a friend of WPTP. We're gonna get with him, and I'm pretty sure he'll do it. he's very open minded, but he like Jesus. He moving his own time. Because when I call him trying to tell him to move, he don't move. But then 2 weeks later, he finally moved. So I want you to get a relationship. When you come judge, I want you to get a relationship with Austin Garrett, which is going to be your sheriff. I want you to get a relationship with the new black police chief we have. I want you to get a relationship with Tim Kelly. Anybody that's in the community, Dr. Wood said get a relationship with her.
With me.
Okay, and we got to do this thing, man. We got to stop playing. We got to change the tables. Everybody worry about election. Oh, I get in office. I get this, I get that. But who changing? You can get in office all day, but if you're not changing nothing, and then I want you to put the right players on the team, okay? Right now, we ain't got the right players on the team because stuff still happening.
Here's the good news about that. In Chattanooga, we have a lot of people who are sincerely interested in making a difference.
Okay.
The only struggle we have is getting them all to fly in formation, and that's what I think.
Well,
this position I'm running for, I'm planning on in the out of court roles, finding like-minded folks, and hopefully we can all make a difference.
You got to feed them.
What's that?
You got to feed them. They'll come.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You
People
gotta-
will come. Oh, bring the order the pizza, they'll show up.
Yeah, all the people got. All right, say something to your man Joe Jenkins. He's on here. He said, "What's up to you, Joe Jenkins?" Did.
What's up, Joe? Man, I tell you, I met Joe personally for the first time last Monday. He came to a Champions event we had.
For the first time.
I met him.
Oh, but you seen him in the paper.
Yeah, that's right. I actually talked to him
Yeah,
after.
I see. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, everybody should read Joe's book. It's something where I read it, and there was something in there. I was trying to think of a quote, but the nutshell is Joe was going through. If anyone knows Joe's story, you know he got some stuff, happened to him. A lot of it was fair. Some of it might have been unfair, but there was a part in this book where he talked about the unfairness. Something unfair had happened to him. I don't recall what it is right now.
Yeah, apparently they arrested this man.
Well, the fact is, but here's the thing. He took responsibility for that. It wasn't fair. He didn't deserve something that happened to him. But it's one of those things where he made the decision to either say, well, forget everything else, it's unfair, I'm not going to try, or to dig himself out. It's almost like you're walking down the road and a mountain drops on you, right? You didn't do that to yourself. It's unfair. You didn't deserve that. But guess what? You're buried under that mountain. You can either lay there and let it crush you, or you can dig yourself out, which is hard. And that's what Joe wrote about in his book. So everyone should read that book. And also think about your own unfair circumstances. Yeah, you didn't deserve a lot of the stuff that happened to you. It's your responsibility to dig yourself out, and you're going to be glad you did.
Wow, that's good. Boy, but so just let me say this. So when you get in the office now, when you come to judge, I'm going to be me. I ain't there. I ain't going to sugarcoat them. I come in the courtroom, I might be loud. Oh, I'm Tony Boston. I ain't got time to put on like everybody else. Y'all know me. I've been there. I'm just a fly on a wall out there. I'm going to do me, but I'm going to respect you. But I hope you get the job, whatever you do. God bless you.
Thanks.
Y'all will live with your man, Slide Man, Tony Boston. Go to the East End Hunt. East End Hunt is over at 130 at 1 apart. Not go to Brandon Road, right by Dalewood School, where the levy is at, the First Presbyterian Church. And you're going to see a lot of black folks out there, too. Yeah, all of them, they go to their church, but thank God the church let us have their lot. You know that? They have about 10,000 heads. So that's Candace, Tony Everhart, the bank calls, him and his cousin Sean. I appreciate them for doing a wonderful thing for our kids. They're going in their pockets and doing this. So if you get a chance, stop by there and pass up some fly. Hey, I'll see y'all next week. This is your man, Slip Right Man T-Ball. Next, you got Dr. Woods coming up. Talking about in the woods, out the woods, up in the dentist woods. She got a lot of woods she's in right here at WPTP. This is your man, Slip Right Man, Tony Boston. See you next week.